Okay, guys, it's about 4 after, so we're going to kind of get started. Um, Excited to have Jordan here. Thank you guys for attending. I know everybody's kind of got weird things going on right now. Some are super busy, are slower. It's hard to keep a schedule these days, you know. But Jordan is with Edge Homes, and I remember when he came to the office and sponsored a lunch and learn that we did here at the office when we had somebody else presenting. And I felt a little bit cheated because I wanted him to talk a little bit longer. So you shared some good stuff with us then, and you were just kind of like sponsoring, getting to know and networking with our agents, and that was awesome. I think new homes are kind of an unknown territory for some agents, right? They're used to pre-existing homes. They're easy to set up appointments, go show them, it's done, here's what it is, this is what's for sale. So this is great for new agents, existing agents to kind of get familiar with the process. But Edge Homes is a phenomenal builder as well. And I think we just lost him.
Oh no.
He logged off.
Did you lose me?
Oh,
No, there he is.
there he
Okay.
is. We shuffled there a little bit.
And I want to plug Jordan as well. We haven't actually closed a deal together, but I actually walked through a home with him, and he has stayed in constant contact with me, letting me know about their developments. He is a real go-getter. I absolutely love his energy. I loved walking through the house with him because you could tell that he really cared about my client and that my client was happy. And he's got some great developments. He's a wonderful contact for you at Edge. And
super, super important. We talk about it all the time, guys, right? You know how important relationships are. So my hope is that you take some notes, you learn what Jordan has to talk about, the process. How can you incorporate new construction into your business? But use Jordan as a resource when you get that new buyer, because what you'll find is not all new construction homes are on the MLS. And if that's the only place you're looking, you're missing out on some inventory. And I'm sure Jordan's going to talk on that. But my hope would be that Jordan might be one of those contacts. It's like, hey, I got a new buyer. You call him. Jordan knows what is in inventory for all of Edge Homes, right? Not just one subdivision. So just kind of what you got. Here's my buyer. This is the price range. This is what they're looking for. You got anything that matches that we might want to take a look at? So Jordan, I'm going to turn the time over to you. Appreciate you being here. Go ahead and click in the middle of the bottom of the screen and share your screen if you've got visuals you want to share with us. And the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much. First of all, I'm so excited. I have done this presentation in a couple of different brokerages and have found that a lot of people I just feel like the idea of new construction is a little bit scary in general. Whether you've been doing it for a long time or you're just barely starting, the idea of not being in control of the situation, which is the way that a lot of existing home sales are, can be a little bit daunting. So I want to just in general give you a little bit more understanding of what you should know as an agent and how you can make this part of your business super successful. Because I've seen agents, I mean, we have one agent right now as kind of a starting point. We have one agent right now, an outside agent who has brought 30 deals to Edge Homes so far this year. 30 deals by the end of April. So there is tons for growth, both for your business and for my business. We can work together, we can figure it out. But it is a really cool part of real estate that very rarely gets used by outside agents. And so with that, sorry, are you guys seeing my presentation? Yes? Okay, super.
You great.
By the way, with if you have any questions, for sure, you're more than welcome to turn off your mute and ask a question. I also have the chat up, so if you want to send a question over the chat, I can look at the chat and see it, and we can kind of go from there. This is kind of weird. I've never done this over Zoom before, so we're all kind of figuring it out together. So why is new construction not more popular with agents? I have worked for Edge Homes a little over 2 years. And in my time at Edge, the only thing that I can think of is, oh my God, if I was an outside agent, I would just be bringing buyers to new construction and my business would be amazing. So why isn't that the case? Why don't you guys like using new construction? Has there been any issues in the past? Do you have any concerns that you have with new construction?
I think there's a misconception that that the listing or the new construction agent doesn't support the buyer agent. Interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of it depends on who you work with and what builders you're going to and all that stuff, totally. But I've heard that before. What else?
I think maybe for some agents, it's timing. You know, if the home's not built yet, the hole's not even dug yet, maybe their buyers, they feel there's a little bit more urgency because they're ready to buy, right? They got pre-qualified,
Totally.
Let's go look at houses. And so maybe the expectations aren't set up maybe for the process.
And you know what? I agree with
Absolutely.
what you said.
That happens all the time.
What Angie was saying is very true, because people think that if their clients go to an open house or a new build, that the new build agent will say, hey, if you don't use your agent, then you'll save this much off of the purchase. So what I make sure I do, you guys, is I try to text the agent that's at the open house or pre-register or make sure I go with them. Isn't that the best way to make sure that you're involved, Jordan?
Yes, 100%. We have people literally every week that walk into a model home and then an agent reaches out to us later and is like, hey, I've been working with them. And Edge is usually pretty open to putting a buyer's agent on the deal, but there are builders who, if you are not there on the first time that they come in, whether they tell you that they're going to go to the model home or not, you are not going to be on that contract.
You know, I think, again, it's expectations, right? I mean, if you're working with a buyer,
100%.
educating them that, hey, are you interested in new construction, or are you only looking for a pre-built? If you are interested in new construction, I need to remain in the loop so I can protect you through the transaction and assist you through the process. So either they can call you and hook you up directly, or maybe they should at very least inform them, hey, just don't go driving around to model homes willy-nilly and talking to people without them letting know that you're represented, or let me go with you.
Absolutely.
Quick question.
If you can, yeah.
What is so you say get pre-registered, which I have heard of that before. What are the requirements and the qualifications to be considered a pre-register?
So I don't know what goes on with other builders, but as long as you text or call me and say, hey, I have buyers who are looking, these are their names and emails, we're set. So it really is just letting the builder know that you've got somebody that's coming.
Okay.
But again, that will depend on every builder and every agent that you use and different builders and all kinds of stuff. So again, what Jeff's talking about, make sure that you have the relationships in place that you feel comfortable sending someone to someone that you know and work with. Cool. Any other reasons why new construction is not typically used by buyer's agents, at least in your experience?
I think the Rep C paperwork can be kind of intimidating.
Yeah, it absolutely can. You've been using the Rep C that Utah has for years and years and years, and now here the builder sends over this new Rep C that's got all kinds of crazy stuff in it, and you have never seen it before, and you got to go through it quickly and talk to your buyer about it. For sure, there are a lot of. We'll go over some of the difference.
I think one other thing is,
but yeah, those Rep Cs can be a little bit daunting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
The thing is that most agents aren't used to not being able to negotiate. And so walking in and telling your client that kind of how new construction works, it can be very strange for them, because most people are like, well, why won't they change their pricing? Why won't they do these things?
Yeah, it's different for a seller who has hundreds of buyers under contract right this second than it is for one individual person selling their house. And so, yeah, that dynamic is super different with new construction, and something that, again, the control is not always in the buyer's agent's hands. And I think for a lot of agents, that is really concerning. So some of the things that I have heard in my time at Edge is that obviously it's more expensive. So if you're looking for a fixer-upper in Ogden, I promise you're going to find a cheaper house there than you will with a builder. And that's just the nature of the beast. There are some times that we'll have stuff that's a little bit less than what you would have thought, but you'll need to make relationships to reach out and find those things. Poor quality. I haven't heard this a ton with Edge. There are for sure builders out there that you can be really disappointed in the quality of the build. And some of the bigger ones, you're pretty assured that things are going to be okay. But with some of the newer and younger builders, they just make mistakes that we've already made, you know, and fixed. So for sure that can be a concern. The communication between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent should be much better than I think it is a lot of the times. So that is for sure a concern. More work for the outside agent because it takes longer. Jeff alluded to this a little bit. With it being a 7 to 9 month commitment, sometimes that requires a little bit more effort on the parts of the agents, and that is totally understandable. There are a lot of hoops to jump through with deposits and designs and getting city permits back and four-way, and there's a lot of checkpoints along the way that you don't have with an existing home that just does happen with new construction. And then that long wait for that commission check, I know, I get it. I've heard lots of buyer's agents say that, where it's like, man, it'd be nice to have this done in 30 days and get your check. But I want you to know that in new construction, it is the only transaction that I can think of in real estate where the buyers have both the buyer's agent and the seller's agent working for them. Not legally, but for all intents and purposes, we are all trying to do our very best for your buyer. And that just doesn't happen anywhere else. And so, yes, there are bad things about this, but there are some really, really cool things with new construction that I think agents can benefit from and obviously build their business with. Okay, a couple things to watch for with builders. We already had a comment. The builder's rep C can be scary. There are going to be things in it. So if you can put yourself in the builder's shoes for a second and imagine that you're selling a piece of property and promising that within 7 to 9 months, there's going to be a house on there. And then that's what you're signing a contract on right now. You obviously would want to build into your contract a couple of things to make sure that you are protected as the person who is going to be building the house. There, natural catastrophes, radon can't be tested for until it's in an enclosed space. There are 1,000 things that you would never think of that have happened to builders that we've had to put in the contract. So that's what the Rep C is about. There will be random things in there that you have no idea about. If you're working with an agent who's good, they will be able to explain that to you and help you feel comfortable with it. Included features. Depending on which builder you are looking at, you may be seeing prices that are $30,000 different, but in reality, they're basically the same based on what the builder is giving you. So for example, Lennar is known for having everything included. That means that they have some super nice included features, some super nice standard features. There are other home builders that will have lower standard features purely for the idea that they can appeal to more people because there's more customization. So every included feature that you drop off the list means one more thing that a buyer doesn't have to pay for. So that means that the prices can be lower. That means that they can customize more. So it's not a matter of, oh, that's so crappy that that builder doesn't have that standard feature while this other builder does. It's a matter of giving the buyer an opportunity to pay for that if they would like it.
Hey, Jordan.
Yeah.
How easy is it for an agent to guide their buyer through that comparison project or process? I mean, when you just mentioned that the same house can be 30,000, how do they compare those features and understand that price difference between, say, you and a David Weekley home or whatever, the two things they saw in the market?
I think pretty much any builder that you talk to is going to have some sheet showing these are our included features. This is what comes standard. That's a pretty easy way to just set them up side by side and say, oh, this has this and this doesn't have that. There are other, I know Edge has a bunch of pictures of a house, just completely standard features, no upgrades at all. So if they didn't upgrade anything at all, this is what the house would look like. If you're working with an agent who's good at their job, they should be able to help you understand what's standard. But again, it will take some research to make sure that your buyers are getting a fair shake, seeing how things compare.
And so it should be considered common for those agents to call you and say, hey, I got a client interested in such and such floor plan in your subdivision. Could you send me over the specs on that, or your package? Is that a common request?
Very common, very common. Yep. If you're working with a good agent that you have a relationship with, ask them for any of these things or clarification on any of this stuff, and they should be able to give it to you.
Perfect.
Lot premiums. I have seen neighborhoods with builders that have, they claim that they have $200,000 single family homes in Alpine. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. What a price. That's unbelievable. And then you go there and their lot premiums are $200,000. And so it's fine. It's a way of doing things. But just understand that that's just one of the things that you ask when you go in and you talk to somebody. The way that Edge does it, they just have it. The most basic lot in a community is a $0 lot premium. Anything that has a walkout basement or views or is bigger or has an easement next to it or whatever will cost more, but the lot premium is $0. Some builders don't do that. It truly depends on who you're working with. So just, again, it's a question to ask. The deposit schedule. So every builder is a little bit different. Some will be cheaper upfront than others. It just really depends on the builder and what they do. Again, just a question that you need to bring up with the agent before going too far down the road. There are probably the most common complaint I hear from people who have bought new homes before, whether it's with Edge or anybody else, is that they reach out to customer service and they won't come and fix their house. You need to be aware of what every new construction home should come with a warranty of some kind. There's a really popular one called the 210 warranty, where it's 2 years for anything, wires, ducts, plumbing behind the walls, and then 10 years for structural stuff. And then typically it's a 1-year craftsmanship warranty, but that's pretty standard. You'll just need to know what the process is for them reaching out to customer service, reaching out to the builder after they've moved into their house to say, okay, how do we get this fixed? And some are better than others. You'll find out that along the way. Agent commissions and inclusion. I know there are builders out there who do this. Edge is not one of them. There are builders out there who will not include the agent on the deal, or they will pay not full 3% commissions. If you're not in the model the very first time your buyers walk in, you're kind of stuck and you're not gonna be able to be on the contract. Again, make sure that you know this before you go into contract. Make sure that you understand. And if you have a relationship with a builder's agent, they can tell you all this stuff right off the top of their head. Investor ratios. There are communities where, specifically in multifamily, in order to receive FHA loans for the buyers, the builder has to keep a certain percentage of their multifamily owner occupied so that the FHA loan can still be used. So you just need to make sure that you understand that before you go on a contract, especially on multifamily with a builder. Typically, how builders work is they have an agent sitting in a model home and they sit there 4 or 5 days a week and they switch off with somebody, but those two people sit in that model home always forever. That's the community that they sell, and they don't sell anything else. That is not always the case. With Edge, we can cross-sell, which means I can sell anything that Edge builds, whether it's in Lehigh or in Harriman or in Vineyard or in Eagle Mountain. And so I think it's better, honestly, for buyer's agents if builder's agents can cross-sell, because you build a relationship with one person, you get a buyer and you say, hey, what have you got? and they send you all their information, and then you say, okay, none of that works, I'll go to the MLS now. But it just will depend on which builder you're using, how they work. If you have a lot of people that are looking in Saratoga Springs, this big, huge Oakwood community, great. Get your contact there at that community and right off into the sunset. But it just will depend on the builder that you use. So the preferred lender in construction loans. I always tell people, if you're going to do new construction, typically the preferred lender is usually the best choice. If for nothing else, then they know the process and they are really good about keeping you in the loop and helping your buyers understand what's coming next and all that stuff. Outside lenders, almost, I would say probably like 60 to 70% of them don't close when they say they're going to close because of whatever. They don't get the certificate of occupancy on time. They don't get all their paperwork figured out before it happens. It consistently, closing is delayed a little bit with outside lenders, and that's fine. It's not the end of the world if closing is delayed a day or two, but it's just something to know going into it. Typically, preferred lenders will give you a discount of some kind. I know there are some builders that I've heard of lenders giving like $10,000 in closing costs or something. And then the quote for the loan has just like a crazy amount of extra fees and things. So they make that $10,000 up. So again, just be aware, not all builders are awesome. So there are going to be some where you just have a bad experience, and this is just a list of things to make sure that you are aware of those things and you don't have that really terrible experience. They're not all perfect. Interest rate. So with an existing home, you go under contract, you lock your interest rate, you get everything ready for closing, and you're done in 30 to 60 days and move on. With building, we make sure that you're pre-approved with our preferred lender within the first 7 days after you go under contract. But we understand that between now and when you lock the interest rate, 30 to 60 days before you close, you are going to have options for a different lender, and we get that. You're probably going to want to shop around there between 30 and 60 days out to find the best interest rate, but before then it doesn't super matter because we're not locking the interest rate anyway. So we've still got some time before you need to figure all that stuff out. The shopping will probably happen towards the end and not the very, very beginning for that loan. Any questions on any of that? We'll wait for the awkward Zoom pause. Okay. Okay, next up. This is the reason that you should do new construction. These are the reasons that new construction, I think, is the best thing to do with a good portion of your clients. First of all, a builder's warranty is the nicest thing in the whole world, especially with first-time home buyers where they don't have any idea really what they're getting into, and knowing that like there's going to be stuff that happens. And especially with an existing home that's 30 years old, you've got furnace issues, you've got to deal with roofing, you've got to deal with the air conditioner going out. All that stuff is just not a thing with new construction. And it's so nice, especially for first-time home buyers who have never had to deal with that stuff. They just called a landlord their whole life. Builders warranties are awesome. And especially if they're good and they get out there and they actually fix things that they say they're going to fix, there are few things that can appeal to buyers more than not having to deal with any issues for the first year of their house. Teamwork. I love working with buyer's agents, especially buyer's agents who just like get it. They've done it before. We've done deals before. They know what they're doing. Those deals are so much easier, both for just kind of for everybody. I love walking, like Lynn was talking about, when she brought her buyers in, I knew from the get-go that Lynn knew what the heck she was doing. And so in walking through the house, she's constantly giving good feedback to her buyers. She's letting them know, understand that this isn't a standard feature. If you want this will cost more. There are the transactions where a builder's agent and a buyer's agent are on the same page are the absolute best. And the buyers feel like they are everyone's number one priority, and it can be a really, really satisfying experience for everybody involved. And And again, like I said before, this transaction is one of the very few in real estate where both sides of the deal are really trying to focus on your buyer to get them the house that they want. We want really great reviews after they're done building the house. So like, we're gonna do our absolute best to make sure they're happy. You obviously want future reviews, you want referrals, you want an awesome relationship with this buyer. So in 5 years, when they go build another house, you could sell their house and buy a new one. So this is all, we're all doing our very best to keep your buyer as happy as humanly possible. And I just don't know if that happens all the time in real estate, where in new construction, that is literally the goal of both parties. I have not had a ton of these experiences. However, every once in a while, something will go wrong. And it doesn't matter if it's the builder's fault, doesn't matter if it's the buyer's fault, it doesn't matter if the agent's fault. But the good thing for you as a buyer's agent is that at any point you can say, man, this sucks, doesn't it? Let's do something else. And you leave and you go find something else, and you are the superhero to your buyers that had this awful experience with this builder. And that negative experience is not on you, it's on Edge Homes. And so they don't have to deal with that anymore. And you are, again, the superhero who came in and saved the day. I've had people who are just furious at their whole building process and whatever. And so the agent reaches out to me and it's like, hey, I know this isn't your fault, but like, what's the deal? And I'm like, I'm sorry, this happened. It is what it is. Blame it on me, take them somewhere else, have them be happy with you, and I'll be the bad guy. And it's totally happened on occasion. And that, as a new construction agent, I'm fine with that, because I understand that even if that buyer didn't have an awesome experience, I know that you have other buyers that eventually someone will come back and you'll have a great experience that time. So I'm totally happy being the bad guy. And if you have buyers who are just like completely unrealistic about the market, who are like, man, I just need that $200,000, 4,000 square foot house up in the hills in Draper, then like, reach out to me and let's walk through some condos that we're selling for $250 in Vineyard, and like, let's get them on the right track and get them figured out. Because then, like, I'm happy to do that, because it doesn't matter. Like, I wasn't going to sell them a house when they were asking for $200,000 in Alpine. So like, you bringing them over and me talking with them, being like, hey, this is really your price range. Even if it just comes from another person, sometimes that can help them, especially with the younger generation right now that expects a lot for a little. That can be helpful from time to time. Another huge perk is that builders are consistently building in places that have growth and potential for appreciation. As an example, my model home of a house, which I still am trying to get out, my head is really big right now. I'm trying to get over that compliment still. But my house is beautiful. My wife and I moved into it a little over a year ago. We just refinanced for the rest of the world about a month ago. And our house had gone up in appreciation $70,000 since the time we went under contract to now. So, and I live in Saratoga Springs. So, and I'm sure some of you are like, oh, Saratoga Springs, farmland out there. Yeah, farmland that's all being built at the exact same time, just like Harriman, just like Eagle Mountain, just like West Lehigh, just like Bluffdale. All these places are growing like crazy. And the appreciation that can happen, whether it's for an investor in a townhome or whether it's for an owner, a new buyer with a single family home, it can be unbelievable. And when you go to existing homes, sometimes that's just not the case. So builders, no matter where they are, builders are trying to build in places of appreciation, and that is huge for your buyers. Huge perk of new construction. This, I think, is the biggest thing that I wish that buyers agents understood. If you come in with your buyers and they sign a contract and you legitimately say to me, all right, awesome, I don't want to hear from you until I get my commission check in 9 months. That is great. I truly do not care at all. I'm more than happy to oblige with that. If you have a relationship with someone that you trust and you know is going to take care of your buyers, it can be literally the easiest thing that you've ever done in your whole real estate career. Take them in, sign a contract, get the commission check 9 months later. Like, it can be that easy. It can also mean that whatever I send to your buyers, I can CC you on, anything that they do with design, whatever, you can be involved with. You can be with them every step of the way, and you can also be completely absent, and it does not matter to me. And honestly, I don't know that it matters that much to your buyers. They'll be helped no matter what, right? They'll be helped whether it's me or whether it's you, and we'll build them a house either way, right? So like, if you want to just be in on the check-ins, on the updates of what's happening with the building, awesome. I can totally do that. If you want to get your commission check in 9 months, awesome. Build yourself a backlog, get some checks here in about a year. But I wish that agents knew that I'm completely fine taking the bulk of this project. Like I said in the beginning, this can be a 9-month transaction. It can be more effort. Totally can. I'm willing to do that because that's literally my job. So if you want to pass that on to me and then just kind of be there in the background to answer any questions that your buyers have and make sure that they, are aware of issues that come up, for sure, we can do that. But your involvement is completely up to you.
Jordan,
Yeah.
to just piggyback on what you're saying right now, I think your original question on, hey, why do agents, fear new construction? I think part of that unknown is not feeling important enough through the transaction. They feel like they need to be doing something, right? It's like turning a client over to a trusted relationship with somebody like yourself is one thing. But let's say they met this agent at a model home, they don't know him from Adam. Agents also need to realize, hey, your job is to guide your clients through the process. So paperwork review, keeping control of deadlines, just staying in the loop, maybe even attending design meetings and giving your opinion based on, what you think is going to have the best resale value, right? I mean, there is opinion
Absolutely.
can come from the buyer's agent. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to step back, because I've done some new construction transactions, and that's, for me, one of the things that I need to find ways to interject myself into the transaction so that my client knows that I didn't abandon them. So it kind of goes contrarian to what you were just saying, but that shows you the broad breadth of involvement that an agent can have. And I think it really does hinge on that relationship.
Yeah, I want
Totally
to
does.
as well, because I've done quite a bit of new construction, and there was one that the builder made literally 6 errors along the way, that if we wouldn't have been involved, and it goes back to the builder. This is a builder that doesn't do a lot. Like with Edge Homes, the contracts I've done with Edge Homes have been slick. There hasn't been errors, there hasn't been problems. My people have been totally happy. And I think it all depends on your client, because some clients don't want you to be involved with those things that Jeff's talking about. Others are like, they do. So it can be whatever you want to make it. It can be hands off, it can be hands on. I had some clients that just called me whenever there was a problem. They're like, hey, I know it's going to get taken care of if you do something about it. And it worked really slick, and they just called me their bulldog.
Absolutely.
He makes a good point. It's kind of up to your client. I think that setting the expectations we were talking about is really important, and talking to your client about the process and what the involvement is. Because I remember driving up to a lot meeting just basically on where the house was going to be positioned on the lot before they started digging the hole. And I pulled up into the cul-de-sac, and my clients were standing up there with the superintendent of the subdivision that they were building in. And I could see I could read his lips when he turned to his wife and said, "What's he doing here?" She says, "I don't know. I told him about the appointment. He just showed up." So I don't know. Communication's pretty key.
No, it totally is. And you're totally right. It can be, like I said, if you want to be involved in literally everything that goes on, it is easy for me to add you as a CC to every email that I send out, giving updates and letting them know when their design stuff is and all that stuff. I'm more than happy to keep you in the loop on anything that happens with the buyers. And if you have a really great relationship with your buyers, it can be really awesome to have you by their side the whole time and helping them understand what's happening and keeping them safe, So again, this is not necessarily to say that you can't do anything, that you can just pick up your commission check in 9 months. It is more just saying you can do anything you want to. If you trust the agent that you're working with, awesome. You can leave it alone and let it happen. If you are like this is your brother that you're signing up to a contract, you can be involved every step of the way, and it's exactly however you want it. So, okay. We're going to touch on a couple things that Jeff just talked about, but things that I wish you knew. Things that I, as a builder's agent, wish you, as a buyer's agent, understood when you went under contract with us. This, to me, I have been frustrated on a few times, on a few of these transactions, where I have people come into the model home and I sit with them for 2 hours and talk about what they want and talk about what they're coming from. And if you could move your house just to a new lot, would that be enough? Figuring out what their like huge dissatisfaction is with where they're currently living. And I've done a ton of research and I've listened to them talk, and we walked through 3 model homes, and now I feel like I'm right on the edge and I feel like I've really done it. And then I set up a meeting the next day and they say, oh, our agent's coming. You're like, awesome, cool, would love to have them. And they come to the meeting and they are negative and they are talking about how this is the worst thing you could do. What are you doing? Why would you do that? We both are trying to sell a house to this person. So like, what are you thinking? I'm attempting to understand their situation and really trying to help them find what fits them as the client. And you're coming in here and telling them that this is awful and this is bad and you shouldn't be doing this. And you're messing it up. You're screwing it up. We both want to sell a house. So don't come in here and feel like, and that's the next thing. I understand that, especially with some buyers, maybe that you just met, you feel like you need to make an impression, feel like you need to prove that you're the agent on the deal, and you need to go in there and be their bulldog, like Lynn was saying, and that's fine. Just for a second, step back and think about what's best for your client, because in meeting them in the model home randomly and then letting you come onto the deal a couple of days later, I am trying to do my job in helping them understand what really they want. And I've been trained in sales in specifically that. A lot of these builders agents, and maybe there are some bad ones that don't know what they're doing, and I freely let, that's a possibility. The agents who are good and who hopefully you can build a relationship should be so good at their job that people who don't walk into the model home wanting a home end up wanting to buy a house because of the way that they were treated by the agent and the way that the agent understood their situation and what they're going for and help them find something that fit that. So when you have a deal that's on the table with a builder, please, for the love of everything that is good and holy, do not go into that meeting and mess it up by saying, oh man, building is such a long process. It's really, really tough. I don't know. This, I don't know about this location. You were telling me this, and this before. A lot of that stuff that you've heard before is sometimes out of date because they came in the model home the other day and they were like, actually, we love this neighborhood. Actually, we love this thing about the house. And so just come into it with an open mind and understand that the sales agent is doing everything possible to have the same outcome that you want, which is to sell a house that your buyers want and for it all to be great for the buyer. So understand, we're trying to do your job just like you're trying to do your job, and we're working our hardest. The other thing I wish you knew, we have tons of investors who come to new construction because they understand the way that the market is, the fact that a 6 or a 7 cap in Utah, good luck. But investors, like new construction, we can get you a 5 cap pretty easy. And depending on how the market is, sometimes we can give discounts that'll give you $100 extra a month for the first 2 years. And then in 3 years, your rental appreciation is, you can raise rents and your rent is exactly where you want it, right? Your cap is where you want it now. I just wish there were more agents who help their investors see that new construction is an awesome investment and one that it's just hands off and it's easy. And not only that, But the appreciation that happens with new construction is something that you don't get with the $200,000 fixer-upper in Ogden. And I understand that there are some investors out there that are just doing flips and just doing stuff like that. And I understand. And if this is not what they're looking for, then great. It's not what they're looking for. But there are tons of investors out there who are just like, man, I went to summer sales and made a boatload of money, and now I don't know where to put it. Those people would benefit so much from an agent who understood how new construction investments worked and understood that they're a really awesome option for those kind of people.
Hey, Jordan.
Yeah.
Before you get too far removed from a comment you just made, I wanted to see if you could expound a little bit more, because it kind of piqued my interest when you're talking about investors and there's incentives and things that you could do to help them out with initial cash flow. Give us an example of that.
So I would say that almost all builders will, if you say, hey man, we're really close to signing the contract on this, but if you could give us, 2 years of $100 more of rent per month. So if you gave us $2,400 in closing costs, and I could sell that to the investor as, hey, you're getting a 5 cap right now, but how much is an extra $100 a month get you in cap rate? And then in 3 years, or in 2 or 3 years, once those first 2 years of $100 a month are gone, or, it's not like it's like a mental thing. You're manipulating the numbers a little bit, but you're saying you have $100 a month for 2 years that the builder is giving you at the beginning in closing costs. So then when you're 3 years out and your appreciation has gone like crazy and everybody wants to live in that brand new neighborhood, you can raise your rents and get to the cap rate that you were hoping for when we started this deal. So it's a little bit of number manipulation, but it essentially is the same thing.
I get it.
The investors are getting a lot better quality tenant in these properties as well than if they are that fixer-upper in Ogden or West Valley or what have you.
Totally. And again, with your builder warranty, all of the maintenance stuff for the first year is covered. You don't have to deal with it. Anything structural is good for 10 years. Like this is, all the appliances are brand new. You have tankless water heater. Everything is brand new. The cost on them every year is much less than the maintenance cost that would be for that fixer-upper in West Valley or whatever. It's just an incredible investment option that people don't think about. And so I challenge you to be a little bit creative in the way that you pitch it to the investors, because I'm sure they've heard 1,000 different pitches from 1,000 different people. But if you can pitch it in the right way, or if you can give me a call and we'll pitch it to them together, but there are investments here for a wide swath of investors here in Utah. So I wish that was more in your brain. I wish that you reached out to new construction a little bit more with investors. Are there any other questions on that? Super. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, if I was an outside agent, literally every lead that I got, I would reach out to my couple of new construction agents that I trust and say, hey, what do you have here? I would try to build a relationship with agents who sat in Lehigh and in Bluffdale and in Harriman and I would know who those people were. I would write them down and I would reach out to them first thing. Because here's the thing, when you get a new lead and you set up a new MLS search for them, before you do that, imagine having hundreds and hundreds of potential houses sent to you by the seller's agent. When you get a lead, reach out to, for Ed, I would love to be that contact. Reach out to me and say, hey, I've got people looking here and here. What do you have? And I'll send you everything. Well, you can get an inventory list. You can get a quick move-in list. You can get a lot report. You can get literally anything you want to. You reach out to the agent, they should be able to send it to you. But if you find something with the new build, then you don't have to do all that MLS research. If you find something with an agent, you don't have to go out there and search and walk through 10 houses, come to the model home and we'll figure something out and put a contract on it. But like, it just saves you a ton of time and energy if at the beginning you can say, yeah, let's do it. Find an edge agent. Let's go make it happen. Okay. Before we move on to this, are there any questions so far, whether it's investments or things you need to look out for, or questions you have for a builder's agent? If there are, put them in the chat. We'll talk about them as we go. Okay, what differentiates Edge? So up to this point, it's kind of been just like builders in general. I wanted to take a second and help you understand why I work for Edge and why I think Edge is the best. I live in an Edge home. But first thing, cross-selling. Like I said, once you have an Edge agent, you are set. Whether your buyers are looking for a condo for investment or an $800,000 home in Draper, you call me and we'll figure it out. It's so much easier than having to deal with different agents in different communities and figuring out who goes where and what they can sell and what inventory is at that location versus another one. It's just easier. Lynn alluded to this in the beginning. I am a big proponent of just keeping contact with people. If you have someone who is looking in Eagle Mountain but can't make it out there for another week, I'm happy to drive out there and go get pictures, go take a video, go take a picture of the lot and see what kind of view they would have and send it over to you. It is super, super easy. Through the build process, I try to reach out to people every week with pictures of how things are going, updates on what's going on. Our builders are really, really great about giving updates every week and letting them know what went in this last week, what's going in next week. Our designers are great about keeping people in the loop after they've designed everything, sending it to the engineer, sending it to the architect, sending it to the city, getting city permits back. We just try to keep in contact with our buyers through the whole process so that they never feel like they're off by the wayside. Our design center is really beautiful. It just won a national award a few months ago. It is outstanding, spectacular. It has everything any option that they could choose. It has it in person that you can see right there. It has lighting things. It has 5 bathrooms and I think 5 or 6 kitchens that you can look at for inspiration. We have interior designers to walk them through every step of the process who have gone to school for interior design, who can answer a question like, hey, is this railing too industrial for my farmhouse interior? They're awesome, and it's so nice to have someone. There are other builders who will have the agent be the interior design, the help that does the interior design, and I can't tell you how concerned that makes me for potential buyers of a house with me, that like, if I was the person helping them, we're in a lot of trouble. So we have interior designers to help with everything, so you don't have to worry about it. Our website is one of the best of any of the builders that I've ever seen. Just go peruse some other builders' websites and then get back to me, because it's one of the best. It's just easy. We believe in the product. I did a poll a couple months ago. We have 2/3 of the agents that work at Edge live in Edge homes. We have, I would say probably 10 to 15 Edge Homes investments with all of our agents, meaning Edge Homes agents have bought condos and townhomes and single family homes as investments for themselves. We love the way that Edge builds houses, and we show it in the fact that we live in their homes. I live in an Edge home myself. Floor plans. The one thing that I hear more often than any other when people walk into a model home and I say, what is it that you, in your wildest dreams, want in your home? And they say, I want this open floor plan with lots of natural light and just open space. And our floor plans are that. They all have, I won't say all, almost all of them have a 2-story great room with big 2, 4, 6 windows on the back wall that let in a ton of natural light. Our windows themselves are bigger than normal. We love the amount of natural light that comes in our floor plans, and and our buyers do too. Customer service. I talked about this in the beginning with warranty stuff, with stuff happening after you move into the house. Our customer service is one of the better ones. So you'll send it, you'll put in a customer service request, and usually within a week, it's fixed. So usually the next day, the customer service will reach out and say, hey, we're talking to the vendor. They should come out in the next couple of days. Things get done quickly. And even if it's out of warranty, I tell buyers to reach out to customer service just to see. And if the customer service isn't able to do it, they'll send you the vendor that we used so that you can go and get a quartz countertop, or you can, do whatever. Okay. So how do you make this a part of your business? This can be the most lucrative part of your business. We've had people sell over 50 Edge. We've had outside agents bring 50 deals to Edge in a year before, which makes me laugh because we as Edge agents will sell houses and we are on a different commission structure than the outside agents. And so I see outside agents who sell 50 Edge homes and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You're gonna make so much friggin' money. And I understand the idea of building and it taking a long time to get your check. That just means you have a backlog. That means that when we have coronavirus, you already have four houses that are under contract and being built right now. So you have a proven source of income coming down the road. Okay, how do you make this part of your business? First of all, find an agent and a builder that you trust. There are a lot of builders and some of them are great and some of them are not so great. You need to do your homework, look at the reviews, and make sure that you find someone that you trust. Edge Homes builds the most houses in this area, in the Wasatch Front, and we have the highest reviews. Check on everyone that you have buyers go and look at, and find agents specifically that you can trust. So not all builders will cross sell, but if you have a bunch of investors who are looking in Lehigh for investments, then make friends with that builder's agent that you have gone to see, and build that relationship. Like I said before, think of builders first. This will save time on research and finding a home. You can get them under contract in a week because you took them to a model home and they fell in love. Great. That's awesome for everybody involved. So think of builders first. Whether your buyer says, hey, I want to look at new construction or not, give somebody at a builder a call. This goes back to staying out of the way. When buyers want to build, let them. Do not stand in their way and say, oh, but it's going to take so long and the process is so awful and there's going to be mistakes and blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. We want the same thing that you do. And when buyers want to build, let them build. Let them move into a brand new home. I have gotten really good in my job of having people come into model homes and say things that they like that I hate. And me saying, yeah, totally, awesome. When buyers come in and they say, man, I hate the railings. I just want a half wall. I'm like, oh yeah, totally, me too, awesome. Understand that people are gonna have weird opinions, and you just, sometimes as the person who works for them, as the agent, you're gonna have to go with it. And especially with new construction, sometimes that's the case. Just make sure that when they wanna do something, let them do that thing. Make sure that you protect them, make sure you keep them safe as their agent. But if they want to build, let them. And this last thing, like I said before, give the agents some space. We have been trained. I can't say this for every builder, but I, as an Edge Homes agent, have been trained, if not weekly, then every other week, on how to sell houses and how to help people understand their dissatisfaction and how to help them move forward on buying a home. So give them some space. Let them do their work. You are, of course, their agent, and let them go. They will have questions, you will answer them. That is totally fine. But let the agent sell the house if he can. And then everybody will be happy because everybody will be building a house, moving into a house, making money from a house. It's all great. Good luck, guys. Buying new construction truly should be the easiest transaction that you do. If for nothing else, then you have someone that you trust and you turn your buyers over to them, and it should be great. It should be awesome. The buyer's agent, the seller's agent are all working for your buyers. The builder wants a good review, so they're going to be building the house as well as they can. The designer is going to be as helpful as possible because they want a good review. We all are, every part of our business is focused on your buyer having an awesome experience. So do that. Go sell a new construction home, build a house. It's awesome. It can be awesome. And not only that, but your relationship with your buyer can be increased a ton because of the things that you go through in new construction. Even if it's not all perfect, you can have an awesome experience with your buyer and grow even closer to them through the process. Awesome. Any questions? Anything I can answer?
Hey, Jordan, I just want to make a comment on what you just said. I think
Please do.
it's important for us to realize, you know what, we're trying to help our clients find what they want. So your comments just kind of ring super, super true, Jordan. Is like, we're not trying to tell them what we like or what we prefer, or maybe the agent's nervous about the new construction process and they don't feel as sharp or, you know, on their game because it's something they're not familiar with. And maybe that's the reason they're talking them out of new construction. I don't know. But I agree with you 100%, if your client's leaning that way, pursue it. Let them, you know, investigate and figure out what they really want. You made a good point saying some people don't really know that they want a new home until they go to one, right?
Totally.
And I think agents should do the same. All of you should go see Jordan at the subdivision he's in at the time and get familiar with the process. Look at the model, look at the development, see the homes in progress, the different stages. You know, there are going to be some holes that just got dug. There's going to be some in the framing process. Others are being painted. I think that'd be super, super helpful. You don't even have to have an agent. Just do some homework and preliminary work up front. Go and check out these neighborhoods when you got some downtime, you know. I think that would be super helpful for a lot of us. Absolutely. You guys feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. It looks like DL, you're actually raising your hand, so I'll unmute you if it works. Can you not unmute yourself? There you go. DL?
Yeah, so thanks everyone for Lynn, Jeff, Jordan, you guys for putting this on. I feel so blessed really to be a new agent coming into the profession at this time, because I believe that if I were a new agent coming in at the height of the economy, I would have been taught pretty much just how to acquire the low-hanging fruit. And I think this is wonderful because I believe I'm going to get skill sets that a lot of other agents out there don't have. So, I mean, you can bet that I'm going to take that advice. I'm going to reach out to these builders. I'm going to learn everything that I can. I don't have the biases that, you know, maybe some veteran agents do have. So this is all new to me. So, hey, the idea of learning a builder's repsy, okay, cool. You know, I don't have a bias against it. So I plan to dive in. So if you guys could, I don't know, maybe condense down to 3 or 4 main points, what would you say are the main takeaways as for being compelling reasons for jumping into new construction like this?
Yeah.
You're asking Jordan? Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, I just think, I think, first of all, not a lot of agents are using it because they're concerned about new construction. They're concerned about the agents not, the builder's agents not including them. They're concerned about a lot of things. It means that there are less people out there that are willing to do it. And so if you're willing to do it, that's just one more tool in your toolbox, right, that you can use. Especially as a new agent, if you can go into it with an awesome perspective, an awesome mindset that, hey, this is going to be great for my buyers, and I've never had a bad experience with new construction because you've never had an experience with new construction. Awesome, all the better. It's just, I think it's untapped. It's untapped in a lot of ways.
That was kind of what I was thinking. I didn't want to assume I was right. Seemed like just another way to serve the client. And if that's true, then that's a good thing. And we've just established a relationship that could, you know, last for many years. And it especially resonated with me what you were saying about not sabotaging, you know, the situation by trying to appear to the client as though you know, you're the bulldog in their corner. but yet you're sabotaging the relationship as a consequence. Anyway, thank you guys, and this is awesome.
Great input, DL. Hey, Jordan, that brings up a question. What would you say, and I don't know if you have the stat or not, but out of the buyers through you, what would be the percentage of buyers that don't have an agent in their corner or that they're working with? It just comes straight to Edge.
I would say, so I'm trying to think. I had this statistic when I was looking at my year last year. That typically agents that start with Edge for the first couple of years get most of their leads from model traffic purely just because they don't have the contacts in the real estate world. And then as you get further and further along with Edge, usually you try to establish a bunch of realtor contacts that bring you deals every year. And so you're less focused on the model traffic because you have agents that you work with and they always have leads and they're willing to bring them to you, which is part of the reason why, as a buyer's agent, it would be awesome to connect with an agent with a builder because it's easy transactions and it's simple. I would say on average, so I sold 38 houses last year. I would say that of those 38 houses, probably 25 to 30 of them came through the model, whether they had an agent with them or not. And then I say, in general, probably 10 of those, 10 to 15 maybe, were unrepresented. As a whole, Edge Homes has probably around an 80% represented ratio. So about 20% of the leads are unrepresented, but about 80% of them come with an agent.
And do you, Jordan, with your role with Edge, do you just sell new construction for Edge or do you also sell pre-built?
So great question. Actually, I hadn't thought of that. So anything that Edge builds, I can sell. And I think that it's that way with almost all builders. We typically have some available inventory, and it fluctuates, obviously. In January and February, we had literally nothing in terms of standing inventory. We're slow to getting back to having houses ready within a couple of months. But if that's something that you're worried about, being able to get into it now when interest rates are good, that's totally fine. Reach out to the agent. They should be able to tell you what they have for you and how they can help with that. But yes, I can sell anything, whether it's a build, whether it's standing inventory, whatever.
But are you saying that's only an Edge construction home, or you could sell any?
Oh yeah, no, it's only an Edge construction home.
Right.
I see what you're getting at. No,
Yep.
only Edge. And I think that's pretty standard for most builders. There are some builders that are small enough that they just have a buyer's agent sit in their model for however many days a week or whatever. But usually the builder's agents are just that builder's agent.
I don't think they want a conflict of interest where you could take a buyer and pull them to a different property.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm getting at. So what do you do when somebody comes in, they come to the model home, they're shopping, they want a new home, they've lived where they live for 15 years or whatever, and you discover that they need to sell their existing home before they can build? Is that the type of relationship that these agents can be making with someone like yourself to where they could maybe field a referral to help sell that home so that they could buy an Edge home?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's happened on multiple occasions. It probably doesn't happen as often as you think it would, but it has happened from time to time where people are like, hey, do you know anyone that could help me sell my house? And I've totally I've sent out referrals of other agents that I've worked with in the past who I've had a good experience with and who I feel like are good agents. Yeah, I'll send them their number for sure.
Awesome. Who else?
Hey, Jordan.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on that same question, if you refer somebody out or refer an agent out, does Edge as a brokerage allow you to receive a referral commission?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, not a problem.
Good follow-up, Eric.
Yeah, that's a good question, Eric.
So, Jordan, too, I was going to ask you, you mentioned, an agent that did 30 this last year, and you've had an outside agent that sent 50 homes to Edge in 1 year before. Is there anything specific that you can share with about some of those agents that have had great success as far as how they market or what they're doing to attract those? Or is it just through their past clients' sphere of influence? Do you know if they're doing any specific marketing?
I think there probably is. I know with some of them, I know there is some like almost tag team marketing where they'll go to an Edge model home and they'll meet the Edge agent there and they'll make a video and say, hey, look at these amazing views out this condo. We're right up next to the lake, blah, blah, blah. These are incredible. Let me know if you have anyone that there have totally been stuff like that. I send out it's not weekly, it's every couple weeks. I'll send out an email that has quick move-in information and an update on kind of how the builder is doing, that I send out to a bunch of agents at once. And so sometimes people will just copy and paste that onto their buyers. Sometimes people will take the quick move-in sheet and stick it on their Facebook. Sometimes it really just depends. Where the leads are coming from, I don't know. But I do know that there is marketing being done for specifically Edge with that buyer's agent.
That was one of the questions I had, if there was like legal things that you could or couldn't do as far as like promoting Edge, like helping promote Edge or whatever. You guys don't have any
not a problem at all. No, would love to help with any marketing that anybody wanted to do.
I already told her what I know you're going to say about it. And I told her.
I'll make a little plug for Edge as well too. I've sold Edge homes for years, but it'd been a few years since I'd sold one until about 2.5, 3 years ago. I sold a townhome in Harriman for about $300,000, and it was a client that was been looking all over and just couldn't find anything in that under 300,000 range that was just suitable. And Edge was really reasonable, and he found it about 45, 60 days out, maybe about 60 days out before completion. And they were super easy to work with. And I was really surprised to learn just some of the just kind of the basic things that Edge includes that other builders always charge extra for. Like when we went into, into the model home of the townhome, I noticed it had a tankless water heater, and I asked the agent, obviously that's an upgrade. And he goes, no, all of our homes have tankless water heaters, townhomes, single family, and just a lot of things like I noticed that Edge does that other builders don't. So I've really enjoyed working with them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we just got a chat from Stephen Nosak. My wife tweet, I have sold a couple of new construction homes. My clients always fall in love with the model home. Is there any advantages or disadvantages of purchasing the model? So usually the model home is not for sale at that moment because we're still trying to sell houses in the community. When model homes do come for sale, there are a couple pros and cons. Pros are we'll make sure that the carpet is clean and all that stuff. Like, we don't want to give you a house that a cajillion people have walked through and just like handed over. So we'll make sure that it's clean. We'll make sure that it's nice. In some cases, we'll sell the furniture with the model home. That's not always the case, but sometimes it can be. With it being the model home, typically in that neighborhood, that means that a lot of that same floor plan have been built just because it's easier for people to see. And so whatever community you're in, whatever the model home is, typically that's the most popular floor plan. But usually the model home has a lot of upgrades in it and it's really beautiful. And the other thing is that it's had all those upgrades done at the beginning of the process. And so by the time that the community is all finished being sold, there will be plenty of appreciation in those homes, meaning that there won't be any appraisal issues, even if there would have been because of how many options and stuff are in the home. We have enough comps that it's not usually an issue. So they're really, really beautiful, and you're getting it in one compact price, where I think a lot of people, when they build a house and they put that many options into it, they get this queasy feeling of like, oh, maybe I did too much and I don't want to overdo it with the options. Where with quick move-ins or the model home, and that's all just like in a price. And so you say, well, I'm just paying $450,000 for it, so everything's great. And they just don't have that extra feeling, you know?
Hey, Brandon, it looks like you got a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of just a follow-up on the marketing aspect of it. I'm down here in Vegas, so it may be a little bit different. But what I've run into is that a lot of agents' marketing is typically geared toward resale, and then trying to get that mindset of a resale buyer to new construction can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge. But I think the other aspect, I heard you earlier mention that part of the reason that agents don't like to sell new construction is because they don't feel it as important. I think another challenge is that we don't market to new construction for the fear that if we send them something, they go, oh, I like this house, and then they go and look at it without you. At least down here in Vegas, there's a lot of, well, coming up soon is probably going to change, but there's a lot of times where they'll be like, oh, sorry, you weren't here the first time. So I didn't know if there was a way that you guys do anything that you market in a way that can have like a breadcrumb trail back to the agent that did that, or something like that.
Yeah. It's tricky because I know with some builders, it's really tricky because they're really, really sticklers on it. I know with Edge, here's my best advice. If you have people that are looking, tell them that if they ever go to a model home, to let the agent know that they're working with an agent. I have had people who oh, by the way, our agent said to tell you that we're working with them. And I'm like, great, give me their name, and I'll reach out to them. But if we have no problem, is that like I typically will ask when people walk in at some point in the conversation, hey, have you been working with an agent? And especially before we sign the contract, I'll say, hey, have you been working with an agent? But really the best way to do it is just to tell them to say that you sent them there. And it's really hard, but that's really honestly probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I've had that before. I guess I'm trying to think about it from a marketing standpoint before we're actually even working with them and having that conversation. As far as like most of us have a website that shows where people can go look at resale homes, but when they go on there, they can log in and then we have their information, and they can't really go and see it without somebody to show them. But if I was out there putting out a Facebook ad that said, you know, come look at Edge Homes, this is a beautiful model, and they look at it and they go, okay, so now my marketing dollars have been spent for someone I don't even know that may have bought a home.
Right.
And so I didn't know if you guys had anything here in Vegas years ago, and I don't know why most places don't do it anymore. But there's a place called Manhattan West, and it was like this new community that was all condos. It was supposed to be like a little Manhattan. And the idea behind it, or they had it basically, it would say like manhattanwest.com/Brandon DeVere. So anything that I sent to anybody, that marketing piece, it would be connected to that. I'm not asking you for you guys to have that, but I'm just trying to figure out, is there a way, because obviously we want to brand the company, the builder as well. But when you do that, it's kind of tough because I could go spend $5,000 in marketing in the next couple months and drive them all. I don't expect to have the answer. I just didn't know if you had an idea of what maybe some people are doing.
Yeah, that is a great question.
We do have something like that. We did a whole class on it. It's called New Home Source Professional. NewHomeSourceProfessional.com is a service for new build constructions to advertise their listings. And I'm pretty sure Edge is on there. And you have your own branded Brandon DeVere website. So if you're marketing new construction floor plan, they're going to your landing page. It's not KV Core. It's not some of the other stuff we use. It's completely separate, but it's kind of like a new build only MLS.
Interesting.
Okay. But but it's not builder specific, like working directly with that builder. It's more so.
There's several builders on it. There's several builders on it. And the reason it's free to us as agents is because the builders actually pay for it as a marketing platform for their homes.
Okay. Cool.
Weren't you on that class we did?
Yeah, I was. I have that. I do have New Home Source Professional, but I don't know if there was a way that builders were doing it specifically like on their own.
I think that's what they're using. Instead of doing it on their own, this platform was designed for that purpose so they could reach more buyers and get more of the agents' buyers, right? Because it's free for us as agents to use that platform. Like I said, because the builders pay a marketing budget for that. So that's a connect between the builders and us if we're using that platform to market. So look into that a little bit more. I haven't used it, but I know that if you did a Facebook share from your platform, that click is going to go to your website.
Okay, maybe I'll try that today. Look into it a little bit more. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
that's great.
we're a little bit over our time, so I want you to be able to get off to what you're doing. Jordan, this was amazing, great information. I took some notes. I encourage you guys all to reach out to Jordan. I did have one question. I should know this, but is Edge Homes just in Utah?
Yes, it is. It's just, in fact, it's just here between the farthest north we go right now is Harriman, and the farthest south is Vineyard, west is Eagle Mountain, east is up in Suncrest and Draper. So that's one nice thing is we just do this area in Utah. We know the clientele, we know what people are looking for, and we focus on it.
No, that's great. I mean, you gave us a lot of generalized information on working with new construction anyway, whether it's Edge or not. So
yeah.
Sorry, Brandon, they're not in Las Vegas, but to you here locally, some great.
I'll refer something out.
What'd you say?
I'll refer something out.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else have any last questions or comments before we log off? Going once.
No, but thank you. Appreciate it. Awesome.
Nice to see everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, guys. Jordan, appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it, guys.
Could you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing your slide deck with me?
Of course. Yeah. I'll send that over.
Send that out to Sydney or I, and then what I'll do is I'll send that out to all of them and copy you on it. I don't think anybody would oppose to you having their email address and maybe sending them some of those community updates that you were talking about. They can always unsubscribe, but why don't you do that? Why don't you send that to us and we'll forward it out to everybody and share emails if that's okay.
Awesome. Would love that. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, guys.
Thank you for the value.
So I will be logging off for a minute and logging back on in case anybody did have anybody that wanted the EXP overview at 1:30. I still have that time slot filled. I know things are a little crazy right now and may or may not have anybody, but I will be back at 1:30.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks again. Bye.